Hello, my name is Keshwani. There's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for GRE. We have been solving GRE math problems out of this book here, the official guide to the revised GRE, second edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we're about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 157. Please turn to it. Page number 157, problem number 8. Problem number 8 is what we're about to do, and today is our lesson number 282. Problem number 8 and 9 that you see there on page 157 are the exact same problems that were there in the first edition of the revised GRE on the exact same page number. We have already solved every single problem from the first edition of the revised GRE. We're just redoing them at a little bit of a faster pace. If you need to look at the solution to this problem at a little bit of a slower pace and a little bit in depth, you can go and watch the original video, which was on day number 59. Exact same problem that we are about to do, we did it on day number 59. It says, which of the following could be the graph depicting which of the following could be the graph depicting the inequality that is given to us here. 2 minus 5x, we are told, is less than or equal to negative of 6x minus 5 over 3. Now the only thing that we have to keep in mind when we are solving for inequality as opposed to an equation is that when we're dealing with inequality, we have to be careful when we multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative number. Other than that, everything that we do, everything that is allowed when we're solving an equation, we can do all of those same problems, same steps when we're solving an inequality. But if you're going to multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative number, you have to slow down a little bit. For example, we know that 6 is less than 8. If you were to multiply both sides of the inequality by 2, this is still true. 6 times 2 is less than 8 times 2. But instead of 2, had we multiplied both sides of the inequality by negative 2, then 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, and negative 12 versus negative 16, negative 12 is more than negative 16. So as soon as we multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative sign, negative number, that is, we have to switch the direction of the inequality. The direction of the inequality switches if we were to multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative number. That's the only thing that we have to keep in mind. Everything else is the same. Nothing changes as far as what we need to do here when we are solving an equation versus when we are solving an inequality. So let's carry on. So this is the negative part. We will have to care for. We may have to deal with it. We'll see in a second. Let's multiply both sides of the equation by 3, so we can get rid of this 3 here. Now I just said let's multiply both sides of the equation by 3. It's not an equation. Let's multiply both sides of the inequality by 3, positive 3 that is. So we take this side and multiply that by positive 3. We take this side and multiply that by positive 3. So we can get rid of this 3 here. That was the whole point. And now here, multiply this side of the inequality by 3. So we 3 times 2, which is 6. And 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Negative 15x, we are told, is less than or equal to negative of 6x minus 5. Negative of 6x minus 5, we have to open the parenthesis, which is same as negative 1 actually. So it becomes negative 6x, and negative 1 times negative 5 is going to become positive 5, which is less than or equal to 6 minus negative 15x. Let's bring this 6x to this side by adding 6x to both sides. And let's bring this 6 to that side by subtracting 6 from both sides. So here we have positive 6 and a negative 6, we can get rid of it. Obviously, that was the whole point. and here we have negative 6x and positive 6x. We can get rid of this part. So here we're left with negative 15x and a positive 6x. We have negative 9x, which we are told is less than or equal to negative 1. And of course we can't leave it like this. We have to multiply both sides by negative 1 to get rid of this negative sign here. So let's multiply this side by, we won't do it here. Here's our negative 9x, here's our negative 1. Multiply this side by negative 1. Multiply this side by negative 1. And as soon as we do that, we have to switch the directions. And it becomes positive 9x is more than or equal to 1, which means x is greater than or equal to 1 over 9. X is greater than or equal to 1 over 9. And that's it. The tricky part was this part, making the switch. Making the switch here when we multiply by negative 1. When we multiply both sides of the inequality by negative 1, we have to make the switch. And that's the only thing that's going to trip people off. X is more than or equal to 1/9. Now we are given 5 graphs there. Our job is to pick one graph that makes sense. In A, we are given something like this. Here's our, let's put down all of them first. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. In A, we are given something like this. It starts with a positive sign, and it goes towards, it goes in the negative territory. What this is depicting is some number which is less than or equal to some positive number here. We're looking for something that is more than or equal to positive number. That's not it. B starts out with a negative sign. B starts out with in the negative territory. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is something that begins in, that looks like in C. These are zeros, not sixes. This is a 0. That's it. That's our answer. The answer is C. But D is not the answer because D goes between positive and negative. That's not it. And E says, shows a situation where part of it is negative and part of it is positive. That's not it. The answer is C. Now what I want to do now, one more time, what I want to do is the exact same problem. Let's do it in a little bit different way. Okay, watch what happens. We're going to do the exact same problem, but in a little bit of a different way. We need the room obviously, so we need to erase everything. What we could have done, here, this negative sign that is given to us here separately, we could have put that negative sign with 3 from the very beginning. So we could write this as it's less than or equal to 6x minus 5 over negative 3. And then multiply both sides by negative 3. We multiply both sides by negative 3. Multiply this side by negative 3. And as soon as we do that, we make the switch right away. From less than, it becomes greater than. And this negative drops out, and the same as before. So now we multiply by negative 2, so we get negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 15x, which is greater than or equal to 6x minus 5. We subtract 6x from both sides. We add 6 to both sides. And we end up here at 9x is greater than or equal to 1, which means x is greater than or equal to 1/9. Same as before, obviously. Let's do one more problem, shall we? Let's do one more problem, similar to this one. Again, I'll give you a second to pause it if you have to, and we'll do one more problem. Same answer choices as before. Same answer choices as before, but there's a different problem here. 3 minus 7x is less than or equal to 2x minus 3 over negative 2 over negative 2. You see again this negative 2, we could have written negative here and positive 2 at the bottom. What I want you to do is now is to pause the video, solve the problem yourself, find out which of the following 5 is the answer, and then once you have done the problem, you can resume the video to see how your work compares with the work that we are about to do together. So let's get going then. Let's multiply both sides of the equation by, well, let's multiply both sides of the inequality by negative 2. So we take this side of the inequality by negative 2. We can't do it here because we have to switch the sign. 2x minus 3 times negative 2 over negative 2. Since we multiplied both sides of the inequality by a negative number, we have to switch the sign. Instead of less than, it's going to become greater than. That's it. That's the very first step. That's the most important step. Negative 2 is gone. That's it. Now we multiply here, we get negative 6. Negative 3 times negative 7, we're going to get positive 21x. Is greater than or equal to 2x minus 3. Subtract 2x from both sides. Add 6 to both sides. And we end up with 19x. Or this should be 2 times 7 is 14, not 21. So 14, positive 14 and negative 2 is positive 12. And here, positive 2x and a negative 2x, so it's going to drop out. This drops out, and we end up with 3. And therefore, x is greater than or equal to 3 over 12, which is same as 1/4. So x is more than positive 1/4. And which of these 5 graphs will depict this situation that x is more than positive 1/4? The answer is same as before. Answer is C. Let's very quickly do the next problem that we see on the same page, so that we can get it out of the way. Number 9. Problem number 9. That's it. We're done with this one. We are done with this one. Problem number 9 is something that we did on day number 61. This problem that you see here, we did it on day number 60. We are told that if 1 plus x squared plus x cubed equals 60, what's the average of x plus x squared plus x cubed plus x to the 4th? Well, how do you find the average of 4 quantities? We have 4 numbers here, 4 quantities, x plus x squared plus x cubed plus x to the 4th. How do you find the average of 4 quantity? Well, we add them up and divide by 4 because there are 4 of them. There are 4 of them. It should say what's the average of, not plus, but rather comma. What's the average of x squared, x cubed, and x to the 4th? Well, the very first thing we notice is that if we have to take the average, we'll add them up first. X plus x squared plus x cubed, x to the 4th, and we have to divide by 4 because there are 4 of them. That will represent their average. But what do you notice about these 4 quantities here? Here we have x, here we have x squared, we have x cubed, we have x to the 4th. So we could have written this part as, we can take out x common. X is the common factor. X squared, x cubed, x to the 4th. X is the common factor. Once we take out the x common here, we are left with 1. From this term we are left with x, because x times 1 is going to be x. X times x gives us x squared. Then we have x squared times x is going to give us our x cubed. And then finally x to the 3rd. But this quantity we are given here. We are told that 1 plus x squared plus x cubed equals 60. So this is basically x times 60, which represents their sum. And therefore the average is simply sum divided by 4, and sum is simply 60 times x, so it's 60x over 4 or 15x. That's all. Like I said, we do it at a little bit of a faster pace. If you're uncomfortable with it, if you don't like it, you can always watch the original video, which was on day number 61, where we did the same problem at a much slower pace. I will see you tomorrow, where we'll continue our work on the next page, problem number 10. Alright, bye now.